The doorbell shattered the silence like a gunshot, yanking me from the haze of my evening ritual. Black coffee cooling on the kitchen counter, the faint hum of the fridge the only companion in my empty house. I froze, heart slamming against my ribs, the mug slipping from my fingers and exploding on the tile floor in a spray of dark liquid and porcelain shards. Through the peephole, 2 uniformed officers stood on my porch, their faces stern under the harsh glow of the streetlight, badges glinting like accusations. "Mr. Harlan Reed," the taller one called. His voice muffled but insistent. Panic clawed up my throat. Had they found out? 2 years after I'd signed those divorce papers, shredded my life into irreparable pieces, was this the moment it all unraveled? I opened the door, forcing a calm I didn't feel, the cool night air rushing in like a judgment. "Can I help you?" I managed, my voice steady despite the storm inside. But as they stepped forward, eyes scanning the room behind me, I knew. The ghosts of my revenge had finally caught up. It started with a text message, innocuous at first, lighting up my phone screen during a late-night shift at the warehouse. "Can't wait to see you tonight, babe. Wear that red tie." But it wasn't from Elena. It was meant for her, from a number I didn't recognize. My thumb hovered, a chill spreading through my chest like ice water. Elena, my wife of 8 years, the woman who'd promised forever in a sun-drenched chapel. Her laughter like music against the ocean waves. I stared at the phone, denial wrapping around me like a vice. Had to be a wrong number, a glitch. But deep down, that nagging doubt, the late nights at work, the sudden interest in perfume that smelled like someone else's fantasy, whispered otherwise. I drove home that night, knuckles white on the steering wheel, the city's neon lights blurring into streaks of betrayal. When I confronted her the next morning, the kitchen smelled of burnt toast and unspoken lies. She was at the counter, slicing apples for her yogurt, her dark hair cascading over one shoulder in that effortless way that used to make my heart skip. "What's this?" I thrust the phone at her, the message glaring like evidence in a courtroom. Her eyes widened just a fraction, before she composed herself with a laugh that rang hollow. "Oh, Harlan, it's nothing. A friend from the office messing around." But her hands trembled as she set the knife down, the blade catching the light with a metallic glint. I pressed, my voice rising, anger bubbling up from a place I didn't know existed. "A friend who calls you babe. Who wants you in a red tie?" She sighed, crossing her arms, her green eyes I'd drowned in 1,000 times, now cold and evasive. "You're being paranoid. Again." The word again stung, dredging up old arguments about my jealousy, my trust issues from a childhood marred by my father's endless affairs. But this wasn't paranoia. This was the gut-wrenching truth staring back at me. The affair unraveled like a poorly knit sweater, thread by thread. I hired a private investigator on a whim, maxing out a credit card I couldn't afford. His grainy photos arriving in an unmarked envelope that felt heavier than lead. There she was in a downtown cafe, laughing with him. Marcus Hale, her boss at the marketing firm, a slick executive with a Porsche and a smile that screamed entitlement. More photos. Their hands intertwined under a table, a stolen kiss in the parking garage. Her head thrown back in ecstasy in a hotel room window. Humiliation burned through me, hot and unrelenting, as I sat alone in our living room, the couch cushions still indented from where we'd watched movies together. Heartbreak followed, a hollow ache that made breathing feel like an effort. How could she? We'd built a life. Weekend hikes in the mountains, lazy Sundays with pancakes and plans for kids we never had. Resentment festered, turning every memory sour. I obsessed over the details. The way she'd gasp his name in those texts I'd hacked into, the lies she'd spun with such ease. Divorce proceedings were a battlefield of legalese and lingering pain. In the sterile courtroom, Elena sat across from me, her lawyer droning on about asset division. She avoided my gaze, fiddling with her wedding ring, still on her finger, a mocking reminder. "Harlan, please," she whispered during a recess, cornering me in the hallway where the fluorescent lights buzzed like angry bees. "It was a mistake. Marcus means nothing." Her voice cracked, tears welling, But I saw the manipulation, the way she tilted her head, just like she did when coaxing me into forgiveness after smaller fights. A mistake, I hissed, stepping closer, the scent of her jasmine perfume twisting my stomach. 8 months of screwing your boss isn't a mistake. It's a choice. Guilt flickered in her eyes, but she straightened, defiance hardening her features. You were never there, Harlan. Always working those dead-end shifts. Marcus saw me. The words landed like punches, fueling my rage. I walked away, signing the papers with a pen that shook in my hand, vowing silently. This wasn't over. Post-divorce, I spiraled. The house echoed with emptiness, her side of the closet bare, her favorite mug gathering dust. Nights blurred into days of whiskey and what? Obsession took root, stalking their social media from burner accounts, watching as Elena posted photos of her new life. Brunches with Marcus, vacations to beaches we dreamed of together. Resentment morphed into something darker, a cold resolve settling in my bones like frost. Fantasies plagued me. Slashing his tires, keying her car, exposing their affair to his wife. But doubt crept in. What if I was the villain here? My therapist, a soft-spoken woman with wire-rimmed glasses, urged me to let go. Revenge won't heal you, Harlan. It'll consume you. In our sessions, the room smelled of lavender diffuser, a futile attempt at calm. I know, I'd mutter, staring at the carpet's swirling patterns, but inside moral conflict raged. Was justice worth my soul? One rainy afternoon, 6 months after the divorce, I saw them at a cafe downtown. Through the steamed window, Elena leaned into Marcus, her laughter cutting through the patter of rain on my umbrella. Humiliation surged anew, but this time it crystallized into a plan. I wouldn't act rashly. No, this required precision, like assembling a puzzle in the dark. I started small, gathering intel. Posing as a client, I emailed Marcus's firm, fishing for details. His schedule, his habits. The office replied unwittingly. Attachments revealing board meetings, client lists. Guilt gnawed at me as I pored over them in my dimly lit study, the computer screen's glow casting shadows on the walls. Was this crossing a line? But betrayal's scar throbbed, justifying every keystroke. Subtle hints of vengeance emerged in quiet acts. I anonymously tipped off Marcus's wife about the affair. A typed letter slipped under her door, the paper crisp and impersonal. Days later, his social media erupted in chaos. Divorce announcements, bitter posts. Elena called me then, her voice frantic over the phone. Harlan, did you do this? Marcus's life is falling apart. I feigned innocence, my heart pounding. Why would I? You two deserve each other. But her accusation ignited a thrill, a dangerous high. Obsession deepened. I tracked their movements via a GPS app I'd slipped onto her phone during a friendly coffee meetup she'd suggested for closure. The app's interface blinked on my screen, red dots marking their betrayal like bloodstains. Inner turmoil peaked one stormy night. Alone in bed, thunder rattling the windows, I replayed our wedding vows in my mind. Heartbreak twisted into resentment, then guilt. Had I driven her away with my absences? Doubt whispered, stop now before it's too late. But cold resolve won, visions of their suffering fueling me. I escalated, forging emails from Marcus's account, incriminating messages to clients, suggesting embezzlement. His firm fired him within weeks, the news rippling through mutual friends. Elena's texts begged for mercy. Please, if it's you, stop. We're ruined. I didn't reply, but fear crept in. What if they traced it back? A year in, the plan evolved into something more intricate. I befriended a hacker online. Anonymous chats in encrypted forums, the cursor blinking like a heartbeat. Teach me, I typed, palms sweaty. He did for a fee, guiding me through code that could plant evidence. Fake financial trails leading to Elena's door. Moral conflict surged. This wasn't just revenge. It was destruction. In the mirror, my reflection stared back, hollow-eyed, a stranger. Yet, the humiliation of those photos, the heartbreak of her lies, propelled me forward. Subtle foreshadowing dotted my days. A suspicious glance from a neighbor, an unmarked car parked nearby. Paranoia. Or intuition. By the 18th month, their lives were in tatters. Marcus, jobless and divorced, spiraled into debt. Elena, shunned by friends, moved to a dingy apartment. I watched from afar, a ghost in their periphery. Satisfaction mingling with guilt like oil and water. But obsession blinded me to the risks. One evening, as rain lashed the windows, I sent the final blow. Anonymous tips to the IRS about tax fraud, doctored documents I'd crafted meticulously. The act felt like exhaling after holding my breath too long. Release, but tainted with dread. The officers' boots thudded on my hardwood floor as they entered, the sound echoing like a death knell. "We're here about Elena Reed," the shorter one said, his notebook flipping open with a crisp snap. My stomach dropped, the room spinning slightly, the scent of their leather holsters mixing with the spilled coffee's bitterness. "What about her?" I asked, gesturing to the couch, buying time. They sat, eyes sharp, assessing. "She's missing, Mr. Reed. Last seen 2 days ago. You were her ex-husband. Any idea where she might be?" Missing. The word hung in the air, heavy and unexpected. I'd planned revenge, but not this. Or had I? Flashback to a month ago. Elena showed up at my door unannounced, mascara-streaked cheeks under the porch light. "Harlan, it's you, isn't it?" The emails, the tips, everything falling apart. Her voice trembled, a mix of accusation and desperation. I let her in, the door clicking shut like a trap. The living room felt smaller, charged with unspoken rage. "I don't know what you're talking about," I lied, pouring wine with steady hands. She paced, her heels clicking on the floor, the sound grating. "Marcus is broke, suicidal. My job's gone. Please, if there's any love left." Love. The word ignited fury. "Love died when you chose him." I snapped, voice low and venomous. She stopped, eyes pleading. "I was wrong. Forgive me." Manipulation again, but this time it cracked something inside me. We talked for hours, resentment boiling over into confessions. Her guilt, my pain. As she left, hugging me tentatively, a seed planted. Maybe reconciliation. But no, betrayal's wound festered. Doubt plagued me after. Had my actions gone too far? Guilt surfaced in dreams. Elena's face twisted in agony, Marcus's hollow eyes. Yet cold resolve pushed on. I monitored them still. The GPS app showing Elena's movements erratic, visiting bars, old haunts. One night, it pinged at Marcus's new address, a run-down motel on the city's edge. Jealousy flared anew. Were they rekindling? Obsession drove me there, parked in shadows, rain blurring the windshield. Through binoculars, I saw them argue, gestures wild, her slapping him before storming out. Satisfaction warred with fear. What if she suspected more? The police interview dragged on, their questions probing like knives. "When did you last see her?" the tall one asked, pen scratching paper. "A month ago. She came by, upset about her life." Half truth, but my pulse raced. They nodded, but skepticism lingered in their glances. "Any enemies? Debts?" I shook my head, mind racing. Had my forged documents led here? Or was this something else? As they left, handing me a card. "Call if you hear anything." Tension coiled tighter. Alone, I poured another drink, the glass cold against my palm, inner conflict raging. Had revenge invited this chaos? Days blurred into investigation. Detectives returned, searching my home with warrants that felt like invasions. They found nothing overt, but my computer raised brows, deleted files, encrypted folders. "Routine," they said, but I saw the net closing. Paranoia set in, shadows in the yard, phones clicking like taps. Guilt amplified. What if Elena's disappearance was tied to my meddling? Moral grayness enveloped me. I'd sought justice, but at what cost? Then the twist unraveled. A week later, another knock. Elena, alive, flanked by officers. Her eyes met mine, not with fear but triumph. "Harlan," she said, voice steady. I faked it. To draw you out. Shock rooted me. The room tilted. She'd suspected my revenge, planted clues pointing back. Hacked my systems with Marcus's help, who wasn't ruined, but in on it. Their affair. A ruse to escape our marriage. But my interference forced their hand. You destroyed us, she accused as cuffs clicked on my wrists. But we turned the tables. The police arrested me for cyberstalking, fraud, evidence I'd created, now weaponized against me. In the squad car, headlights cutting through night, heartbreak mingled with resentment. Poetic justice. My obsession birthed their victory. As the station loomed, cold resolve faded into regret. Revenge hadn't healed. It had ensnared. The cell door clanged shut, echoing my folly. Betrayal avenged, but at the price of freedom.